Hello everybody, welcome to F1 2021, as this will be the first episode of F1 My Team Career Mode. As you see me choose from full season to custom season, as I have 16, I do a 16 race schedule, and I do the tracks that I want. Very select few tracks that I actually like to race at, that I enjoy at. So we have, Singapore, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Australia, not Abu Dhabi. Saudi Arabia is one of my favorite tracks. We get rid of the Netherlands. Not a big fan of that. So that is our 16 race schedule. As we come to choosing my number, and I go with my favorite number, 48. I've always liked the number. I don't know. It's just a nice number. And so now we head to team choosing, as it was pretty hard for me to choose. At first it was between AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, but I eventually went with a little bit of a better team of McLaren, as I feel like I could do pretty good at McLaren, and I like the two drivers there. And for a teammate, I feel like I would be more likely to have Lando Norris as a teammate than Daniel Ricciardo, since Daniel Ricciardo is a little bit older. As now we head into the car reveal. As the McLaren, very nice car, and I'm going to be excited to drive it for this full season of 16 races here in F1. As now we're going to head in to free practice 1, and we'll send it over down to our good friend Will Buxton.
Hello folks, and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the inaugural round of the 2021 Formula One World Championship. And I've got to say, it feels great to be back. As is tradition, there is something of an air of a first day back at school on arrival here. But it's more than that. It's a breath of fresh air. It's an element of normality in what has at times felt to be something of an abnormal world. Now, we were supposed to have a raft of new regulations this season, but as we know, they've been held back. Which does give all of these teams the opportunity to have a second bite at the cherry, one final chance to show what they can do in this era of Formula One. But the responsibility for results, as always, falls on the drivers. But with the cars at their disposal this year being very similar to the cars they had at their disposal last year, succeed, and they of course will put it all on themselves as a display of their innate skills and abilities. But the knife cuts both ways, because if they fail to succeed, there's absolutely nowhere for them to hide. The other question, though, remains as to which of these teams has been able to do the incredible, the impossible perhaps, with these regulations, and pull something out of the hat over the winter that gives them the march on their rivals. As always, we can't wait for this season to begin, but for now, from us, that's your lot.
Thank you, Will Buxton, as we hop right into our first practice program of our career, as it's a beautiful Bahrain track here. One of my personal favorite tracks to look at and to race at, actually. As not a lot of people like this track, but I'm a fan of it. It's pretty fun to drive. Very nice circuit in the desert of Bahrain. Pretty cool country too. As we hop into our first practice session here as the race strategy program, as we didn't ace all the laps, but all our laps were above target time, and it was pretty good. As there's not a lot to show you for this first bit, as the recording did get messed up a little bit, so I did lose some of the files as we hop into the next part of this lap. As this is probably my favorite part of the track, because it's so unforgiving, because it's so easy to make a mistake there. But if you're able to hit it right and not lock up, it's such a nice corner to hit. As we go down this nice, solid back straightaway with DRS,
so far. We're
and
great data.
perfect. We set the fastest lap of the practice session for now, but we jump right into qualifying, as I did lose some of the files, which is pretty upsetting. But I choose the Daniel Ricciardo helmet, but just so you know, it is changed after this race, as we come here for our first lap and our only lap of Q1, as I only did one lap for each qualifying session, as it went really nice. As we head down the last straightaway of this track before we get to the main straight. We hit the last corner very nicely with DRS down the front stretch. And we're going to come across the line in first.
That's the fastest lap so far.
Very nice lap from us. And with Norris is in second. But eventually Max Verstappen takes the first place away, which I was expecting, as Max Verstappen and Red Bull do have the best car on the track. As Max Verstappen is quickest in Q1, and me and Lando are P5 and P6. Antonio Giovinazzi, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin are all out in Q1, upsetting for them, but they do have the 3 worst cars on the track. So maybe in the future seasons they could get the cars to be the best cars on the track. You never know. As we hop into Q2, we jump right to the lap, as it's such a beautiful track, especially under the lights, and it's a very open track. So if you make, like, say you spin out, it's pretty easy to save the car and not, like, hit a barrier. As we come across the line second behind Lewis Hamilton, going for his 7th world title, as we finished third, but Lando Norris gets second place. But probably the three best cars of this race, Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas, and Max Verstappen, all put laps on medium to still get in. And Fernando Alonso, coming back out of retirement, it makes it into Q3 for the first race of the season, as we head to we go for a late lap in Q3 as we fly down this front stretch with DRS into the first corner, around the second turn, down the straightaway, waving the car around, trying to get some heat into the tires. And we're come off the last corner now, or the penultimate corner, as there's only 45 seconds left for everyone else to make their attempt at a lap. As we hit the last corner very nicely, just like in Q1, down the front stretch for the last time in qualifying, as we're going to come across the line and take P3 for now, but eventually we're going to come out to P5, and Lando Norris gets P7.
Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then.
So a good qualifying from us, as let's get into the race.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. So here we are in 2021 at the start of another Formula One World Championship. It all begins here, Mercedes looking to retain their hold on the title, Red Bull seeking to secure their position as the main contender for that title, Ferrari no doubt hoping for a fresh start following their difficulties last year, and elsewhere on the grid, the prospect of some really exciting battles, including between the newly rebranded Aston Martin and Alpine teams. Lots to discuss then with Anthony Davidson, who's joined me in the commentary box for today's event.
It's good to be back, Crofty. Let's hope for some good racing today. We can't know at this point how competitive these teams are relative to each other, but hopefully nobody is able to run and hide. We want to see these drivers pushing to the limit all the way to the checkered flag.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, a McLaren and Sainz, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Vettel and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Raikkonen, Yuki Tsunoda and Giovinazzi, Russell, Norris, Nicholas Latifi and Charles Leclerc, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
As there are some developments with my McLaren teammate and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, as they both have taken grid penalties to start this race, as I know Lando Norris goes from 7th to 16th. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if something happened, if in practice they had to change their engine or something. But that's going to be a big setback, as they're going to be both starting on softs in F, but everyone from 9th back to Lando Norris will be on mediums, and Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin will all be on the mediums too, as we lost the start, but here we are. We did lose a position to Carlos Sainz now, but we're going to make a nice move. We're going to cut to the left, or to the right, make the pass, make a little bit of contact, but that's alright, as we make the pass on lap 1. As now we're down the front stretch, as we see Gasly making a move on Carlos Sainz, as they're going to be side by side down the front stretch. Still no DRS yet, so they don't really have a chance to run us down. As we're going to slowly start to run down the top 4 in front of us. Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Lewis Hamilton. I think that is the running order. Can't tell if it's Valtteri Bottas or Lewis Hamilton in first. So now we hit this corner very nicely. One of my favorite corners. Down the backstretch. There's a yellow flag, and it's for Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is out of the Bahrain Grand Prix on just the second lap. Very disappointing for the British driver, trying to go for the 7th World Championship time, Mick Schumacher, as we take the fastest lap with DRS now being enabled. As now we're right there on Sergio Perez, trying to run him down. As we're going to have a nice run off the second to last corner. We're going to cut, fake right, go left on the outside of him, make a nice pass there. As now we're going to have DRS from Max Verstappen, as we're going to try to run down him and Valtteri Bottas, as Perez almost makes a move on us. We're going to be able to barely hold him off. Not close enough to make any moves on Verstappen and Bottas yet, but hopefully we will soon, but not just yet. Now we head down the front stretch for lap 5, as now Verstappen's going for a move on Bottas. That's going to bring me right into this battle, as they almost make contact, and I get a better run than I thought. I had to go off the track just a little bit, not overtaken. I don't want to get penalized, as Verstappen's going to go for a move on Bottas, and I'm going to go for the big lunge down the right side, as we're going to complete the pass on both drivers, and we're going to take the lead in the McLaren in our first race, as this race is going off to a stellar start for us in the McLaren, as we head right to our first pit stop of this race. Hopefully this will be the first pit stop for our team, and hopefully they can give me a nice pit stop here. Make sure we don't lose too much time on the pit stop. And it's a nice pit stop from our team, 2.6 seconds. Great pit stop as we go through the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz, and we're going to come out P14. We've made some passes up to P11 now, as right there with Mick Schumacher, we're going to look to the right side of him, have a nice little scrap through the S's, one of my favorite sections of this track. As now we're going to close up to Giovinazzi, as we will have DRS down the next straightaway, but the tires spin and we spin out off the corner. Oh man, not good. We spin out, we don't hit anything luckily, as we have to let all these drivers go by. As then we get going, and right here we almost ruin Alonso's race, but we're able to duck and dive, get out of the way before he hits us, and now we're back going. So we're okay. We only lost a few positions. We're down to 17th. Now we've caught up back to Latifi, but we lock up and we run right to the back of Nicholas Latifi. And now we're gonna have to put on a set of soft tires, and it'll be a 3-stop now, as very hectic race so far, and this probably will ruin our races. Now it's very hard to steer. Charles Leclerc will probably go around us any second now, as we're going to go way wide, because it's just so hard to turn. Even when you have the littlest of front wing damage, it's just so hard to turn. Lando Norris tries to make a move, but I run into him. I feel really bad for that. But now, as we head down this front stretch, I'm trying to shake the car around just to make sure that we can steer. Lando Norris, I think he may have had wing damage, and I didn't realize that, but he also comes with me, and he tries to pass me while going onto the pit lane, and I don't realize it. We spin out, and he goes right around me, and I lose my whole front wing. And that was the weirdest thing I ever seen, and I had to wait for him to put on a front wing, which cost me even more time, because I would have gotten out in front of him, probably. And I have to wait an extra like 5 seconds, as this is a very long pit stop, as they take their time to get a new front wing and put it on, as this is about probably going to be a 10-second pit stop. Hopefully not, as it is, and we're going to spend probably over 40 seconds on the pit lane. As the next thing that happens is just come into our final pit stop, and this was a very slow race, as after that nothing happened. After this pit stop, that was it. We didn't make it. We made a few overtakes on Mazepin, and then the last thing that happened was this, as we starting to run down Nikita Mazepin, as we're gonna make a pass on him. I'm just driving with anger of how upset I am of how I performed out here at Bahrain. We make the pass on him, but then there's a caution flag out, and it's for Nikita Mazepin, as he is going to retire from this race, which will give us one more spot before the end of this race. And there's only 6 laps to go now as we pass him, and that's the end of the race. We come off the final corner, and a very disappointing P17 for this McLaren team, as I know I'm going to have to step it up in the next Grand Prix, and I let down my team today, but it's P17. It could have been worse. We could have DNF'd. We could have DNF'd with that thing that happened with Lando Norris, but we're able to bring it home, and Charles Leclerc gets driver of the day as we pass it over to David Crofty.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
So Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez get a 1-2 for Red Bull. We come home P17. Lando Norris is able to rebound for P8 after starting P16, and Charles Leclerc comes home P7 after starting P18. So good drives from both of them. And Sebastian Vettel gets 4th place for Aston Martin. A very, very respectable drive for the Aston Martin. As that's the end of this episode, as we will have some upgrades coming in for the next race, as we're still the 4th best team on the grid, as hopefully we can overtake Ferrari in the upcoming episodes. I hope everybody enjoyed this race, and everyone stay cool. That's it for me. Have a good day.